Hey, welcome back to the Infamous Podcast. This is Brian.
This is Darryl.
And this is a bonus episode. We haven't done a bonus episode in a while.
I know. Was that maybe a movie review we've done?
I think so, yeah.
Maybe,
We did one not too long ago, but the bonus episodes are few and far between anymore. In August, I did a bonus episode when I interviewed Christian Colbert. Go check out Node Chronicles on Amazon. I think I can't even. Oh, and the one before that was in June 7th around June 7th when we did A Quiet Place Part 2.
Yeah, I think we might have one next week. You know, there's this movie coming out. I kind of forgot the name of it.
The Dr. Octopus movie.
Otto Octavius.
It's called Doc Picks.
Oh my God.
Get it? Doc Picks. Yes, I know that was stupid, and that's why I said it. Anyway, all right. So we're back to talk about the Expanse. The Expanse, it's back.
Some golf clapping over here.
Sorry about my Canadian accent, but I figure since it's filmed in Canada, we might as well, talk about some Molson and some poutine, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Sorry. Did you get your 10 bits? Did you get your 10 bits before we started, Darryl?
No, I was outside.
Sorry. So sorry. We should probably cut this. I'm not going to. Anyway. Okay. So I have had a squeaky chair for the last month, and I apologize for that. That will be remedied before the next episode's recorded. So, Darryl, you're welcome for all the spam ads that Secret Labs has been giving you. But yeah, all right. So we are talking season 6, episode 1, because instead of just doing 3 or even 2, Amazon decided to go no, we're only gonna do 1 at a time now. There's 6 episodes. We want to stretch it out. Honestly, I wish they would have put all 6 out at once.
I kind of.
It's only 6. They should have put all 6 out at once, and we could have done 2, 2, and 2 as bonus episodes. On top of that, the new book came out a couple weeks ago. Finished that this week. Super excited to talk about that at some point. Darryl just started. He's 100 pages in.
So I'm about 20% of the way done.
Yeah, you're right. So he's at Kit, one of a new character that they introduced. So you're right before the Rocinante blows up. Oh, shit. Sorry. It's not a big deal.
Yeah. You would actually, if that was true, you would actually be grateful if it was just you sleeping and something falls off the wall on your head.
Anyway. So yeah, the show is back. So I don't. Do you have anything you want to we good? You want to just hop right in?
Yeah, let's just go right into it.
All right,
dive right in.
Diving in. As the one YouTuber used to say, let's just dive right into it. All right, so this episode is Strange Dogs, Season 6, Episode 1. The Rocinante crew makes a startling discovery on an asteroid. Avasarala and Bobbie contend with the devastation of Earth. Drummer and her family must make a heartbreaking decision on Ceres. Marco and Filip's struggles turn inward. I don't think that even begins to cover what happened in this episode.
In the most basic way,
dude. That is the pumpkin.
The most basic.
That is the pumpkin spice latte of episode summaries. I love the start of this episode because we've got the Roci. We just jump right into the Roci, right? They're out. They're hunting Free Navy. They're doing what the Roci's supposed to do. It's a missile gunboat to, go out and
first
and mess
we get the cold opening in Laconia.
Oh, sorry, I did forget.
We get that first
real
shot of Laconia that's not on a fuzzy camcorder with that sociopath Cortazar talking about the platforms.
Right.
Because I think that's all we got last year.
That is all we got last year. Sorry. I forgot. I completely. We were just talking about that too.
Yeah.
So we meet Kara. So the opening, I'm going to call it Stinger.
Yeah, I like that.
I'm hoping this is how they open all 6 episodes, is with the Strange Dog story, which is one of the novellas. It's my favorite of the novellas.
Yeah, you said that too. Yeah.
It's amazing. It is so good. It actually adds so much to the last couple books, and we meet Kara for the first time, and we hear her brother's name, Zan. They're going to become 2 very, very important characters way down the line. Meeting them now, I think, is the right move, and hopefully it's all we see of Laconia, and they don't try and do too much. But that being said, we see the scene in the book where a little bird hurts itself, and she picks it up and she runs off with it. Now, when she picked it up and ran off with it in the novella, something happens to her immediately, and they did not do that.
Yeah.
So, but we meet the dogs, the strange dogs. I forget what they're called.
I couldn't remember either.
But they, so essentially kind of spoilers for the novella. And no, I'm not even going to spoil it. I'm not going to spoil it. Because it's really important to why Laconia is so important. So we get that. And then we get the new, did you watch the new, opening credits? Because it changes every season.
I didn't pay attention to it.
So, this it's not like spoilery like Battlestar Galactica was spoilery, but it spoils enough where you see all the different like meteor strikes hitting the Earth and like the news feed and stuff like that. Because last season it showed the big one hitting,
Yeah. Right.
But it just shows all these different places that it happens to. So it's interesting. But yeah, so then we hop right into the Rossi, and they're hunting down Free Navy. They destroy one of the ships, and then they find an asteroid that has a what do they call the end of the rocket ship?
A drive.
A drive. Thank you. It has an Epstein drive.
I know. I had engine, and then right as I was like typing that in, like Naomi was like drive.
Yeah,
like, oh, it's a drive.
So it has an Epstein drive sticking out, and they, Naomi's like, "Don't fly." Jim's like, "Let's fly in and check it out." And she's like, "No, don't fly in and check it out." The Free Navy sets bombs and proximity triggers, and they know it gets Marco off. I thought that was a great line. That was a great line to reintroduce Marco to the zeitgeist of the conversation.
Yeah. But let's go back two bits real quick. The first thing is what you were talking about with the new credits. It also that the credits kind of bled right into the show, and you see the news headlines, and it really reminded me when it says the Rocinante joins the fight.
Yeah, that
really reminded me of Starship Troopers. I was waiting for someone to say, "Would you like to know more?"
Would you like to know more, citizen?
But the thing is, with the Rossi, we catch them like right in the middle of a gunfight.
Yeah,
with another Free Navy ship. Which one of the things this show does so well is it creates tension in a way that you're like, okay, these characters are not going to die, but you still think they are, and that's a nod to directing,
right,
writing, script writing, and acting. Because again, people say, well, the Marvel movies, for example, don't have stakes because nobody dies. It's like, well, does James Bond ever die?
No.
Does Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible ever die?
Constantly.
The important thing is putting the stakes there constantly. But and I love that about this is we get there was this like, where the hell did that ship come from? And then we're just like thrown in.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah. It was great. It was great. It's fine.
Again,
it's fine.
And again, you were talking about before we started recording why there are only 6 episodes, and it became a budgetary thing.
Yeah.
And they said they decided to make 6 very expensive episodes. this first episode, I can absolutely see that they put a little dosh into making everything look good.
When we watched the trailer, like we gave feedback on the trailer that like it didn't feel like The Expanse.
No,
this felt like The Expanse, 100%.
Absolutely, yes.
So, but the other thing that happened is, so they go in, like they have this thing that they got to go check out this drive, and Amos has to do some repairs to the ship. We get reacquainted with Peaches, you know, down there. I love his nicknames for everybody. Anyway, so then he's out on the hull. Holden goes down to check out the drive, and as Amos walks out, like he looks at the plaque with all 4 of their names on it, you know, kind of a, you know, shout out to Alex. And then James is down there working, and he's trying to talk to Naomi, and she's distracted, and she realizes, and I didn't realize this either, I thought this was an amazing scene, and you know, it sucks how we had to get to this scene, because Kaz was such an integral part of this show, and Alex is an integral character, and if you read the books, you're gonna be really pissed off that if they continue, Alex isn't around. But she's like, I just realized this is the first time I've ever flown the Rossi. I never had to before.
Yeah, and that's that second part of it is really just twisting the knife, where it's just like, first time I've ever had to.
Yeah, it was just, yeah.
And I'd like this because, again, this is 6 months. This is 6 months later from, you know, since he's been gone.
Right.
And they've been running around doing recon there. It was like, that's what, after the fight, it said day 187 on their recon mission.
Yep.
So it's 6 months. And so you would expect in some way for them to not get over it, but come to terms with it. But that goes to show, one, they've probably not had a chance to rest, because all 3 of them look really haggard. And I whatever's been going on and, you know, what they've been doing. But I thought that as like you said, as much as it sucks, I did like how they handled it, because they didn't do what they've done sometimes, other shows have done sometimes, not even when somebody's been left the show under controversial circumstances, but when a character has died or not even died, but left the show, or the actor has, they don't mention them.
Right.
And it really takes you out of whatever that show is, because you're saying you can't even throw a line about this character that was so important for X amount of seasons. I really liked how they handled it.
And the fact that the circumstances that the actor was written out of the show, and the reaction that especially Ty Frank had about it, because I still think he's a little bitch, but yeah. So I mean, at least that was like, the character is given the reverence, right? Because the character is what important. It's what important. Is what is important. And you know, I understand why they didn't recast, because that's really hard to do in the last season. I mean, you look at what's happening with Fantastic Beasts right now. People are upset that Johnny Depp isn't in it. It's like, where have you been? Like, then I think about that, right? It's like, we're really like into this stuff. So, you know, we follow the court cases and the gossip and everything. And it's like, you know, there are people out there who have no idea why Johnny Depp is not in the new Fantastic Beasts movie. And they're mad. They're mad.
Yeah.
But anyway, so this is great. And then Jim does what Jim does and gets into trouble.
Is that really how you go through life? There was a button.
There's a button I press it. Yes. So you know, he does what Jim does. He's you know, like you know, we say Hasbro gonna Hasbro, Holden gonna Holden. And he sets it off, and so one total nitpick, right? That piece of metal bouncing off the magnetic bottle on the drive would not have made a sound.
Yeah. That was absolutely for.
I get it.
You know,
I understand. I just,
and I don't mind that.
But they're so good about space being a vacuum.
Yeah, I don't mind how they take liberties sometimes with things. If you've shown that you're on it and you have to take liberties for dramatic
Sure.
purposes, as long as it's not overt, and I wouldn't call that overt, at least for me. I'm fine with it. But yeah, that the whole dink, dink, dink. Yeah, that wouldn't have.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I did like that. And again, we're talking about the tension and how that little thing, and that's all the sound was for, is to start the buildup of the tension. Because yes, it could have been tense without that sound. I don't think it's as effective without that.
I get that, right? But I think it's even scarier that it doesn't have the sound. If you think about it, because he just happened to
in
look
space,
up and
no
see
one can
it.
hear you scream.
Right. But so Naomi's like, you get away from it, get over the ridge, get out of there. Like Holden's dead. And then he does what Holden does and just starts beating on it with a crowbar until it shuts down. Which then led
did we already?
Sorry.
Real quick, did we say there were going to be spoilers in this?
I mean, we're not really spoiling. Like, I mean, yeah, there's spoilers. There's light spoilers. There's, I think. I mean, it's hard to talk about this opening without spoiling it. Because then we get the next really heartfelt scene. And in like Dominic Tipper, man, like, just I think she crushed it in the first 6 minutes of this episode. And I mean, Steve Strait is my favorite. Like, he's my favorite part of the show. And you can tell, like, just tell, like, when he's on the screen, like, it's just better for it. Anyway, he tells, like, she's like, you got a thing. You can't keep Holden. And he tells her, he goes, I'll try. I'm gonna do better. I'm gonna do my best to. Yeah.
And I would say, like, that wasn't surprising to me, because that's how their relationship is. What was really surprising to me was I can't remember if it was before or after that, is when he's talking about, he's watching one of those, I think Inaris' ships go through the ring, and it goes Dutchman. And Amos is like, hey, this doesn't, this is no concern of ours.
Right.
And he's like, well, down the road it might be. But what Amos says, he's like, I'm here because I didn't want to abandon you.
Right.
Don't abandon us.
Yeah.
And because Amos is usually like not that, because that was a heartfelt thing he said right there.
Well, right. And then also when Amos was like, hey, do you think I can talk Chrissy into paying us for each one of these ones that we kill? And Holden's like, we're not mercenaries. And he goes, we're not soldiers either. That was great.
Yeah. So. And he is absolutely right there. Like, this is, yes, they're doing it for the cause. They need to be well compensated for that. So I really, again, I love their interactions. And one of the things that, we know from season 1, Amos and Naomi have had a relationship that was, even Holden, he wasn't sure, obviously,
right.
when, that's still one of my funniest, one of the funniest things, when Amos, like, she's like a sister to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd do her if she let me. Holden's just like, what? But when
I'm going to I'll just throw you off. That was the other great part about Amos.
Yeah. The strife between the two of them in this episode.
Yeah.
Because of Peaches. And
well, that was more Amos and Naomi than it was.
Yeah, and Amos, that's what I mean. Amos and Naomi.
Sorry.
And I don't think I've ever seen Amos look at her the way he looked at her when she was like, you just need to find somewhere else to be.
Yeah.
And he gave her one of those looks that, considering his history, I wouldn't want Amos looking at me like that.
No, sir. No.
So I'm very interested to see how it plays out.
Yeah.
With them. And now we didn't really get an interaction between Holden and Peaches. So I'm curious to see how Holden has kind of come to terms with, having a crewmate that had pulled all stops out to kill him.
Well,
not too long ago.
I mean, that was kind of handled a little bit like before, but yeah, you're right. There is, There's something there's things that they have to deal with, but and again,
and I'm sure they will. Yeah.
Clarissa immediately shows that she's like a valued part of the crew already, if anything, in Amos's eyes.
Yeah. He's very simple in that regard. It's like, look, can you do something? Can you do this? Yeah, I can. Are you going to try to kill us? No. All right then. All right. That's which again, because last season we got the Amos Holden talk where and that's one of my favorite scenes too. It's like you tried to kill me. You said you were going to kill me. Holden was like, yeah, but we're different now.
Yeah.
Like, so I know they're going to interact. And again, this has been a while. It's been a while since Naomi tried to kill him, probably a year and a half.
Yeah.
But it's been 6 months since she's been on that ship. So they've interacted. It's just that we haven't seen it. They're going to show it. I just would like to see how Holden has taken to her, because we know Naomi hasn't. And again, it comes along those things where and again, for me at least, it's easier for me for someone to do something to me. Now, granted, no one's tried to kill me that I know of, to forgive somebody for doing something to me. But I get where Naomi's coming from. It's a lot harder when somebody tried to do something to someone you love,
right?
And kind of forgetting it.
Yep.
So,
I swear I haven't tried to kill you this week.
All right. This week, that's fine. That's fine.
The week is still young. Anyway, I tried with those burgers on Friday. They were good. I'm not really complaining about that. Yeah, but no, I thought it was just like it was a solid open, like between the stinger and then getting back with the family, Then we jump out to Ceres Station, or do we go to Earth?
We did. After that we went to Ceres, because we talked a little about a Christian, and I didn't mention that. One of the things we didn't mention is, despite them shooting down all these rocks and I think they said over 200 in the last 6 months or something, they're shooting all these down, but there's still issues with doing that. There's still consequences to doing that. Right. And we see Christian and Bobbie and this other guy, I forgot his name, kind of talking about what's going on in a snow-covered field. And then after he leaves and then you pan out, it says Mediterranean.
Yeah.
So, and there's a lot of stuff going on Earth. It's from a climate change perspective that is not natural.
Yeah.
And the one thing, and you were talking about nitpicks. Do you remember last year when they last season, when they hit this asteroid with something, and then it was like a kind of like a blanket that just incinerated all the pieces. Yeah. And then in this episode, they talk about using rail guns. So I'm not sure if there's a reasoning behind why they can't use those.
They were stealth last time, and now they're not. They can track them. They figured out how to track them this time. So they can use the railgun and get them from much further away.
But the problem is, and again, the railgun can do that, but it's still causing fragments to fall to Earth. While that one thing, I can't remember what it was called, it literally incinerated almost every piece. It almost made it space dust, which again, that would still cause maybe some issues, but not like, rocks the size of houses still coming down on Earth.
Yeah.
So, and again, that's like a nitpick, but I mean, it's not a big deal. Yeah. But that was one of the things. And the second time watching, I wanted to make sure I didn't miss any dialogue with why they couldn't use it or why they didn't, and they didn't say anything.
Yeah. So I mean, I think part of that is just because they're able to track them now, whereas last season, they were in a shooting gallery.
So yeah, then we got to Ceres and Marco Inaris
and Filip.
But we actually start with Filip, and this kid he's spiraling, and and what is his name? Josiah Chase Owens.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does a great job trying to keep that face, that cocky face of that cocky confidence that, Filip tries to project like his dad. But he also there's one thing he has that Marco doesn't have, and that's a conscience.
Yeah.
Despite what he did and how horrific, and he should be brought to task for it, he actually feels guilty.
And he, we know he will be, just being book readers, but he's not guilty at this point. And, we come in on Filip, giving a young lady the business, if you will.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's a completely different Filip from what we saw last year when, he was trying to reconcile Naomi being alive and back and, all of that. And then knowing that she left again to go back to the Rossi, to her family. And he's not part of that.
Right.
But he's also, he's a mass murderer.
100%.
So, he killed millions of people.
Yeah. And all of that. Yeah. And none of that would have been possible but for some of the stuff he did. Mm-hmm. So, and then and they do a good job showing that he's trying to play up to this shell of a person, because he's a shell of a person right now.
Oh yeah.
He is absolutely a shell of a person. He's going through the motions. And then every now and then that hits him what he did. Like, oh man, I'm responsible for millions and millions of people dying. And no matter what he tries, he can't get over that. And again, like I said, the fact that Marco can get over that, and a lot of the other belters, and I don't mean the belters that are saying, "Hey, good for us. Look what you did to us." I mean the ones that are like Marco, that don't give a rip about people dying.
Yeah.
Not for revenge, but for their purpose. And he absolutely is feeling crushed by this, but then he compounds it by, what he does. Because he has a friend, Yoan, who I really like the guy. And I was like, who is this guy? And I told you before we started, he was one of the kids in the October faction show from a year and a half ago, I think.
And Yoan was a great character in the book, too. And, we weren't with him as long in the series, obviously, as we were in the book. But he was notable because he had an alligator vest.
Yeah.
and everyone told him it was fake, and he believed it was real. And we never really knew one way or the other, right, if it was real or fake, which was the beauty of it. Here, we still don't. But he's all about that alligator vest. And, things from Earth are going to be really rare because we killed it. And it was, just kind of a stark reminder that there's a war going on, even though we're in Ceres Station, which is somewhere very familiar to us as Expanse fans, as show fans, especially, and that, here it is, it's completely different. I did think it was a little strange, as Marco was walking and people started just chanting his name, like that one guy, when Filip and Yoan are talking, who walks by, the one Tech or whatever, and he starts Marco, and then Keon Alexander, who still slays as Marco,
even when he has the man bun going.
I thought the man bun was a nice touch. Slowly walks his way up onto a platform where he talks about the inners and how we've done this and we do that, and belt us forever. And he just takes over the room. The other interesting thing is his little consigliere there. Do you know who that actress is?
Kathleen Robertson.
Yeah, she played Claire on 90210. If you remember that, all the way back then.
Yes.
So she's been in Kathleen Robinson has 130 credits on her IMDb. She's been a working actor for almost 40 years, right?
She's you'll remember that face. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's yeah.
But she will always be Claire from 90210 for me. But yeah, I liked her addition to it. Because Marco didn't necessarily have that kind of character with him in the books as that. So it's nice to see. And I liked because he asked about Drummer, and she goes, you want me to tell you when nothing happened?
Yeah. And yeah, she is like just the facts, because you're talking about, his conversation about Ceres, but then she says like, hey, you know what? Like talking about, they're killing the earth and the food's going to be drying up soon. So we're going to have to make cuts. And she's like, we don't owe these people anything.
Yeah.
And that's when Filip came in and he's like, this is supposed to be our capital or whatever. I mean, and that's what Marco said. Yeah, this is our capital, the capital of our Belter nation. And he has Rosenfeld's just like, we don't owe them anything. He's like extremely practical and very detached.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Which, again, not necessarily, especially in Marco's case, he probably needs someone like that by his side.
Oh, I mean, yeah, he's again, he's a psycho. So, but yeah, all right. So then, from there we visit Kamina and her crew, and they're being hunted by a bounty hunter while they're hunting the bounty hunter that's hunting them.
Yeah.
And Michio. So this is Michio Pao, right? This is a character that was completely neutered for the TV series because of Kamina Drummer. So Michio was like, so Drummer, part of Drummer is the Michio Pao character from the book. And she's got to fire the thrusters to line up the shot. And for whatever reason, like, they're in 0G, they're on the float. There's no reason for her to slip and miss like that. Yeah. And it's because she's just breaking down. She can't handle it. She can't handle being out there on being hunted and hunting and, on knocking on death's door constantly. And the old version of Drummer would have 100% floated her.
Oh, yeah. And it's funny because it took Joseph to bring that up. It's like, are we going to talk about the problem we have? And she's like, we don't have a problem. Michio's fine. She made a mistake. And he's like, this is not the first time.
Yeah.
And it could have got him killed.
Yep.
And it's not, and again, this is, like you said, you just said a few minutes ago, you can't forget, this is war. And again, I know people make mistakes. You can't make mistakes like that in that situation, or you're not going to get a chance to make another mistake.
Right.
So, and yeah, she's breaking down. She cannot handle that. And a lot of people can't.
Right.
But it's the heartbreaking thing is where she's like, we're going to dock here and then we're going to drop you off and then we'll come back to you when this is over. And then Michio says, when this is over, like, when is it going to be over? And that's the thing. It's like, when is this going to be over? So, because they are a family, and that's one of the things I loved about last season about, before like Marco and everything else tore the family apart, right? Drummer's family apart, watching them together, it really did feel like a family. It wasn't just a crew. It was, it was great to see. And now it's just basically going to be her and Joseph.
Yeah. Yeah. It was sad and, kind of scary and heartwarming all at the same time, because they're like, look, we're going to leave you. We're going to come get you. And you're right. But yeah, it was just totally different. And then while we're on the Drummer fact, did you see there was a Telltale game, Expanse Telltale game coming out?
I didn't watch the trailer or anything, but I saw that it's
about Drummer. So I hate the Telltale games, but I'll probably get it.
Is she doing Kara G doing the voice?
Yes, it's Kara G doing the voice.
Okay.
And the cartoony-ish Drummer is like, she looks great. The character design looks great. Although so rereading the book, right, and then watching the show, it catches me as like how short Kara G is and how long belters are supposed to be.
Yeah.
It's just funny. Aren't we in a day and age? Shouldn't they have gone and got like actual belters to play those parts?
Yeah, if you want to be true to form, they should have gotten belters to play this. But
yeah, and then the one guy who when Miller was on Ceres, who was always starting the protest, who was always like had the megaphone.
Oh yeah,
thing. Like I can't believe he's still alive.
Yeah,
So
I know that was the first thing I thought. I was like, "You're still kicking?
You made it." So, all right. I would assume they would have killed you and threw you in the mushroom recycler. That's what they do. They throw the dead bodies. They recycle them and turn them into mushrooms and eat them. The mushrooms, not the dead bodies.
Yeah, it's good meat.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't have dogs to feed it to, like Ramsay, but
yeah, that's true. They'll get to a point where they have a dog.
Yes,
muskrat. But yeah, so then we're dealing then again with, just the way the show ends, and it's funny because I'm looking at this like breakdown, and they're like, will Filip redeem himself? No, Filip.
No, he can't.
There's no redemption. There's no redemption arc for Filip. There's no happy ending for Drummer. Like there's no Medina Station for her to go to. I kind of love where they are and the things that they've taken and changed in the book and everything from the book. I mean, but we've talked about this for as long as we've been talking about the show. Like the changes that they've made to the book make sense for the show. Mm-hmm. And the books are their own thing. This is a summary of the books in a lot of ways, and in a way to consolidate a lot of storylines. So I'll tell you right now. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that unlike, and again, I think, and I'm comparing this because they're both on Amazon. They're coming on right now. It's The Wheel of Time. It's an example of The Wheel of Time. And I know there are a lot of people that like The Wheel of Time that haven't read the books. Mm-hmm. And there are some people that read the books and think it's okay. Myself, I think I'm doing what you're saying. I'm separating the books, even though I've only read the first 5, from what I see on there. And The Wheel of Time is the bastardized version of the Wheel of Time book series.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean it's terrible. I wouldn't look at it like some of the other adaptations we got, but there is stuff that is severely lacking, and some of it is not on the creative team behind it. Some of it is on the executives at Amazon that didn't give them 2 extra episodes and an extra hour for the pilot, because I think some of the things could have been rectified that I have issues with. Not all of them, but some.
Yeah.
The Expanse, however, I think they do such a great job of staying true to the majority of the aspects, not necessarily in lockstep, but as far as what this character is about, and still changing it and transforming it in a way that still makes sense and still honors where it comes from while being its own thing. And that's not easy to do. Well, more often than not, people fail.
So we an example of this, right? So in Babylon's Ashes, like Pastor Anna from season 3 has, like, she's a major point of view character back on Earth.
Yes.
So they've cut that, like, I was reading this from Naren Shankar, the showrunner and writer of the first episode. They've cut Anna down to pretty much just a cameo, and the same with Prax. Prax was a POV character in Babylon's Ashes, and Prax is cut down because there's 6 episodes. So like they've pruned things that, while make sense in the book, like we should not be worrying about Earth. Like we need to worry about how to get Bobbie on the Rocinante in the next half episode.
Yes.
So, because like Bobbie needs to be there, because they need her. They need that 5th crew member. They need the warrior. So, all right. So, I was trying to think of like what to give this out of 5, right? And I was trying to remember what those little like winged creatures were called. That because Kara gave everybody the all the little animals names,
Yeah.
Because they're on Laconia. She's naming these things for everybody. That's just what you want, a 10-year-old. I will say they aged her down because in the book she's like 16.
No, I thought Kara was like.
No, Kara's
I mean,
like a
again,
teenager in Zan, the little guy. The boy's younger, significantly younger.
okay.
So I mean it's not that big of a deal, but so let's just say out of Laconian fauna, flora and fauna, out of 5.
I give it a 4. I thought this was again, I like really how this starts. It gives us a nice kick into reminding, jump start into, okay, this is where we left off. This is what's going on. And they are very economical in the way they did that with the kind of like the snippets of media reports and news reports on what's going on. The action, how we get back into the Rossi and Holden and the crew. Yeah, I love that tension, and I really liked seeing, and again, it ends, and that was the one thing I meant to say is I love Christian's speech to Bobbie at the end,
Yeah.
where she mentions, we can't, these little victories, like we can't have just these little wins. This is not what we need. We need something big. We need something to give us hope. And that was juxtaposed with, Holden and Naomi and Amos and Peaches, those, 2 sets of those pairs kind of like, especially with the hope part. And then, the way Amos looks at Peaches and like just that smile where it's like, that like just that relationship that they have.
Yep.
And I love that ending, and where Bobbie's like, do you have a plan? She's like, yep, I do. So I really like the introduction of bringing us back into this world of the Expanse. I thought they did a great job.
Yeah, I went 4.5 out of 5 because we were trepidatious. We had concerns after the trailer, and and it still may not be the Expanse like down the line, but they did not miss a beat here. And the other thing you're talking about, how it ends with Avasarala, when she's floating and she talks about how she never thought she'd like it, and now she loves it. I thought that was that's actually the saddest moment of the show, because she's so tied to Earth, and Earth is her home, and Earth is her dominion, and Earth is her place, that she's been off of Earth so much she's accustomed to being on the float. And we didn't talk. We talked about it before, but we did not talk about Monica and reminding Avasarala she's not a queen. She's a a democratically elected leader, which I thought was really great as well.
Yeah, I love that line. She was like, you need to remind her that she has constituents. Yeah, to Bobbie, constituents, not subjects.
Yeah.
So, and then Bobbie's like, she understands that. And she was like, what I like about you, Bobbie? This is Monica.
Yeah.
You're never good at lying.
Yep. So I don't know. I thoroughly enjoyed this episode. I watched it 3 times. And I think between watching it and reading book 9 at the same time, I got some things like kind of out of whack as far as order goes. But yeah, I look forward.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to be honest. I'm really looking forward to when this season ends, taking a week or 2 and then doing a full series rewatch. And then when I'm done with that, going through and reading all of the books and novellas in order.
That's a tall task, but that's great because we won't have, because again, what was it? It's been 2 years since the last Expanse book, I think.
Yeah.
And again, I didn't go back and look at anything. I didn't even go back and look at summaries. So some of this stuff is still kind of in the back of my mind, what's going on. Not so much with the Expanse show, because I've seen that enough.
So yeah, Leviathan Falls, it took me, because I did the audiobook, it took me about an hour to remember who everybody was, like an hour into the book. But like I knew the character, it was like really what I had to remember was I know I'm not gonna spoil anything, but Duarte, like who Duarte was and what
Mhm.
happened to Duarte and why he was in the story arc that he was in. I just had kind
Yeah.
of that had slipped
That
my
was the
mind
big
for
thing
whatever
for me.
reason.
Yeah, I mean, I knew who he was, but it was like, where do we leave off with him? And
Yeah.
that really kind of, it took me a minute to get back to, oh, yeah, there we
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, that was the best part. And like, and even with this, it's the, like kind of like catching up and alligator vest there and just remembering him from the book. And I think the fun thing is going to be this is here's the thing: is the Free Navy is a much bigger threat in the show than it was in the book series, because they dealt with the Free Navy in half of a book.
Yeah.
So, because there's other things that they had to do. We're not going to get to that, obviously. But that being said, I really hope they end this season the way Babylon's Ashes ended, with what happens to the character in the arc, and we end that way, so it gives us hope for the last three books, 6, 7, or 7, 8, and 9 to get series,
really
or
hope they do
maybe
something
like a trilogy of a movie, or like maybe better yet, just do like some mini series where like book 7 is like 3 hours, book 8 is 3 hours, book 9 is 6 hours.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know. I enjoy it. Yeah. All right. Anything else you want to add?
No, I'm so glad this is back, and I really hope the remaining 5 episodes continues with the quality that we've come to expect from the Expanse, and we don't get a rush job with only 6 episodes to tell the story.
Honestly,
That's still my concern.
Everything I'm reading, I don't feel like they have, and I think with Naren Shakkar's comments about like, hey, look, we knew we had to pare things out. They're not gonna just like stuff things in like Game of Thrones did. I want it to be closer to how I felt about the Lost in Space final season, and specifically finale.
Yes,
So.
that's where I think, and again, I'm still having trouble letting that go, but I actually think it's going to be closer to that.
Yeah.
The Lost in Space series versus a rushed Game of Thrones. And
Yep.
It doesn't even have to go as far as Game of Thrones, but I do think, like from a rational standpoint, based on what we saw and what some of the stuff, I haven't read anything, but what you're saying, I think we're going to get that good ending. I still am a little slightly concerned, maybe next week or this week, I should say, actually. Each episode, like this, maybe this next episode will be the one to say, hey, okay, I have faith. We're going to end great. So,
Yep.
But either way, I'm there till the end.
Yeah, 100%.
To the end of the line.
All right. let's not bring that into it. So, all right. On that note, thank you all for listening. We appreciate it. We will be back on Friday. We recorded on Friday. We'll be back. If you like what you heard here, go sign up for our Patreon. That's turned back on, and also, give us a like, give us some like and subscribe, all that fun stuff, reviews, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Darryl.